Hi, my name is Martin Kenny. I'm a student of flat earth geocentric science, cosmology, astrology, anthropology, and spirituality. Over the last few years, I've dedicated my life to trying to rediscover and share the true secrets of who we are, and where we're going.
So one of the truly wonderful things about sacred geometry is that you can actually see it all around you. When you have the eyes. When you can see, you can see. And when you can see, it's all around us, in us, through us, everywhere, at work, omnipresent, omnipotent. It's a very, very beautiful thing. You want to see a clear manifestation of sacred geometric principle called concentric circles? Toss a rock up in the air and let it fall into a pond. Kadoosh! Concentric circles. Very beautiful. There are numerous examples of concentric circles in nature. Tree rings are a perfect example. Tree rings are like a slow motion version of this waveform phenomena. Each ring marks the passage of an entire year. Another trip around the sun, another ring, another trip around the sun, another ring. It's like a language, like the tree is talking to us, telling us its life history in these rings, like chapters of rings. So how does this natural possibility of concentric circles relate to this language called sacred geometry? It traces right back to nature's first pattern. If we count out one radius at a time from any of the centers of nature's first pattern, we find the possibility of concentric circles expanding all the way into infinity, all sharing the same center. The first circle out from the center in nature's first pattern is traditionally called the germ of life. The second circle is called the seed of life, the third circle is called the flower of life, and the fourth circle is called the fruit of life. As they expand, each of these four circles share specific qualities, and yet each holds ever more potent sacred geometric possibilities. The germ of life creates numerous graphic possibilities, including a six-pointed star, the hexagon, and equilateral triangles, two of which form the archetype known as the Star of David. It even brings forth the famous peace sign. The seed of life, the second concentric circle, holds all the possibilities of the first plus more, including the famous archetypal form known as the yin-yang, perfect symbol of duality in general and specifically projective and receptive energy, also known as gender energy. The seed of life also holds the famous Kabbalistic graphic known as the Sephirothic tree of life, which is so multifaceted that it can be contemplated for lifetimes and has been. This brings us to the extremely important flower of life, the third concentric circle from our chosen center. It's very obvious there's really a lot of fascinating mathematical possibilities, scientific possibilities within this thing called sacred geometry. In essence, each of these archetypes is a layered possibility of the same sequential geometric energy, and each, in its own way, points to the transcendental nature of this pattern, nature's first pattern. The original circles in nature's first pattern both naturally enlarge in size and naturally reduce in size, creating a never-ending circular and spiraling dance of contraction and expansion all the way into both macrocosmic and microcosmic infinity. The infinite matrix of two-dimensional sacred geometric possibilities is the root conceptual architecture of the universe. The fruit of life is a flat plane, a conceptual plane, and yet it hints at the third-dimensional plane. That is truly significant. As we expand our radius of comprehension into the fruit of life, we discover the famous graphic known as Metatron's cube, an illusion of the three-dimensional Platonic solids, the tetrahedron, the hexahedron, the octahedron, the dodecahedron, and the icosahedron are all to be found inside this one graphic form known as Metatron's cube. That's really mind-boggling. As these concentric circles continue to expand beyond the fruit of life, ever more complex possibilities evolve. I have created thousands of mandalas and graphics based on the archetypes of sacred geometry, both directly and indirectly connected concentric circles. And these experiments have proven to me that this study is literally limitless. I know by direct experience, when we concentrate our visual attention on the perfect, omnipresent, omnipotent principles of the universe known as sacred geometry, we set ourselves up for the ultimate possibility of human experience. Profoundly personal, spiritual intimacy with unity consciousness. The all.
Why circles and spheres? Well, mainly because that is what nature dictates. All natural physiological structures and constructs in our everyday observable world are made up of curved, circular and spherical shapes, verified by various observable and scientific mathematics like the Fibonacci sequence, pi ratio, helix and vortex mathematics. So why? Why should Mother Nature herself, Mother Earth, be any different? Why circles and spheres? Well, mainly because that is what nature dictates. All natural physiological structures and constructs in our everyday observable world are made up of curved, circular and spherical shapes, verified by various observable and scientific mathematics like the Fibonacci sequence, pi ratio, helix and vortex mathematics. So why? Why should Mother Nature herself, Mother Earth, be any different? because that is what nature dictates. All natural physiological structures and constructs in our everyday observable world are made up of curved, circular and spherical shapes, verified by various observable and scientific mathematics like the Fibonacci sequence, pi ratio, helix and vortex mathematics.
Earth is a plane flat and motionless, as many of you will know now. But it's not just in free space, obviously. It's not just floating in nothingness. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to creation. There's something called electromagnetism, and this is what makes up all physical reality. And in fact, this is what God is. God is an energy. God is a force. So God is not a physical thing. God is an energy or a spirit, if you like. And that spirit could be translated in modern day terms as energy, frequency, light, sound. That is what the creator is, but intelligent, right? Not the way science teaches us that it's an inane force. It's actually an intelligent force. Right at the center, at the core, there is something called Mount Meru. This is the very, very center, the heart of the earth. This is the eye of the storm. This is the navel. This is where everything began from. This is where everything spirals from. Physically, consciously, spiritually, etc., etc. Everything is governed from Mount Meru, or Mount Olympus, Mount Zion. You hear all these terms being thrown around in different religions and mythologies of this holy mountain, or this tree of life, right? The tree of life at the center of the Garden of Eden. It's here. These toroidal fields are all being governed or being, they're like cogs in a clock, if you like. And the pin, the central pin, is the vortex. So at the center of the earth, right in the middle, is what we know as the axis mundi, or the central vortex, or the black hole, if you like. And this is what's controlling the motions of all the different electromagnetic torus fields.
So, in the beginning, all cultures, and even mainstream science, tells us that there was nothing, absolutely nothing, the void, emptiness, empty space. Today, science calls it infinite space, time, and matter. Past cultures also had names for this. The Greeks called it the chaos. The Norse called it the Gunning Gap. The Egyptians called it the noon. This is the void. This is everything and nothingness. This is the multiverse. This space is intelligent, conscious, it is beautiful, it is divine, it is holy. At some point, this void decided to separate a part of itself to create and experience life outside itself, because it can. This is the nature of infinite potential, to use that potential. And the first creation, from our point of view, was what we know as the Holy Trinity, which I've drawn there. As you can see the vesica piscis there, you can see the flower of life. This is the first form of creation in our universe. Mainstream science today calls this the point of singularity, or the great attractor. Many cultures called it different things. You'll find that the gods or the creators in all cultures always are in threes. They're always in threes. So 3 is the magic number of creation. So
These are the building blocks of life. I prefer to call it electromagnetic pulses of sine wave or frequency, which is basically a star. This is the first star. God is a star, creation is a star, right? At different frequencies, at different levels of consciousness, etc., etc. The first order of business was to create a home or a hub or a shell where it would experience life separate from the whole. They needed to create a world where they could express these three things: the cycle of birth, experience, and death. Because those things don't exist in the void, in the car, obviously, because that's infinite potential. So the first thing they built was this, a torus field, right? A shell, to shell themselves from the void, from the car. They're now independent, they're now separate, they're now experiencing life outside the whole. Now, in that void, by the way, in the car, there are many, many other universes and many, many other expressions of experience that are different to us. So this is not unique. We're not the only shell or egg in the universe or in the multiverse. There are many, many of these. So they created this egg, as many cultures called it. The Vedics called it the Brahmanda. The Norse mythology, they called it Ymir, the god Ymir. It was expressed through the god Ymir. In Greek mythology, it's the Orphean egg. In Kemetic Egyptian mythology, they called it the Apep, the serpent Apep. And it's always depicted as a snake or a serpent, which is energy. If you see a snake in ancient mythology, it's always expressing energy. Okay? So this is the torus field, electromagnetic torus field that was built. And inside, you've now got primordial waters. It's empty. This is when the Big Bang happened. So when mainstream science says the Big Bang happened at the point of singularity, there's some truth in that. What they're not telling us is that that singularity and that process is a conscious, intelligent creation. It is not a random process. It's not something that happened randomly. It was intelligently designed. So now we've got a womb, right? This is the womb of creation. This is now the universe, our universe, okay? In Vedic cosmology, you've got Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, creator, sustainer, and the destroyer. And by the way, that holy trinity basically is where the meaning of life is: birth, experience, and death. That is the blueprint of existence as we know it. Those are the three things we all know for certain. There's no debate. Everyone is born, everything's created, everything lives, and everything has to die and will die at some stage. It is also worth mentioning that death is never permanent, okay? Death is never permanent. If we're all stars, like I've said, stars never die. Stars are energy. Energy goes and lives forever. So what we truly, truly are lives forever. However, the experiences that we have in their different forms have to die at some stage, which is what reincarnation is. So you are born in this body, in this life, in this age, at this time. You live and you experience whatever you're experiencing at that time, but that must die. That experience must die for you to experience something new, which is what reincarnation is, which is the point of life. Because you have to learn from that, you grow from that, you move on. And you see that with everything. With a tree grows, it lives, it bears fruit or whatever, it dies, and then the next season it grows fruit again, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Energy never ever dies. So death, permanent death, does not exist and never will, because everything is energy, and energy is infinite. Like I've said, all this came from infinite space, time, and matter. Infinite, meaning forever.
Shakti Sundari estás lleno